Welcome to Grammar with Jane, and today we're going to take a quick look at the use of the possessive pronoun and the use of the pronoun I. Now there's a quick reminder on the screen that a pronoun is a word that takes the place of a noun. Remember that I'm not talking about changing the way that you speak, so there will be regions of England where people do not use the word I in a grammatically correct sentence when they speak. That's acceptable. We're talking about what do you need to do when you need to write a sentence. So we're looking today at using I, you, she, he, it, we, they as the subject of a sentence, but our focus will be looking at I. And the reason we have to look at this is because using these pronouns prevents repetition in your writing and makes your writing far better in terms of the structure of your ideas and the flow of your sentence. So a quick recap: singular personal pronouns, I, you, he, she, it, and plural personal pronouns, we, you, they. And as you know, that's first person, second person, third person. I've coloured those pronouns for you so that you can say first person pronoun is in red, second person pronoun is green, and third person pronoun is black. Did you see I had to stop there for a moment to think about whether that was a green or yellow colour? So do you know how to use the pronoun I correctly? That's the focus of this video. So the subjective pronoun I can't be the object of a verb or a preposition. So if you turn that sentence around, it means that I has to be the subject of the verb. So I joined my husband at the carnival, and if you look at that photograph there, we put on masks and hats to join in. So when we look at I, it is in front of the verb joined, and then I talk about my husband. So that sentence is accurate. My son found my husband and I at the carnival. Remember, the word I, the pronoun I, can't be the object of the verb. And if we look here, the verb is found. And if you remember your simple sentence structure, subject, verb, object, now I has been placed after the verb and it's incorrect. So what do we need to do about that? Yes, change the use of the personal pronoun after the verb. So the correct way to write is my son found me and my husband at the carnival. Well done. I joined my husband at the carnival. This was in Spain a few years ago, and we had a really good time. And my son found my husband and I at the carnival. But that's not the correct way to say it, is it? My son found my husband at the carnival and my son found I at the carnival would be the two sentences that you can get from that compound sentence there. So using the connective and means that you've joined two simple sentences together, and these would be the simple sentences. My son found my husband at the carnival would be a full stop. My son found I at the carnival, full stop. And that's another way to check if you're using the pronoun I correctly. Can you divide your sentence out and look at, does it still make sense? Let's look at the correct sentence that we used a little bit earlier. My son found me and my husband at the carnival. We're going to do exactly the same thing. We're going to divide this sentence into the two simple forms that we find before and after the word and then decide, have we used that pronoun correctly? So the first sentence, My son found me at the carnival. Yes, that would be an accurate, simple sentence. My son found my husband at the carnival would also have been an accurate sentence. So in that example there, that just shows that you sometimes have to take the sentence and divide it to check, have you used it correctly? And we have moved on, and we've moved on to looking at the idea that is the second focus of this video, and that is there are no apostrophes in possessive personal pronouns. So when you use the possessive personal pronoun hers, we don't put an apostrophe. And when you use the possessive pronoun its, you don't put an apostrophe. And I hope that this is a rule you will remember to help you learn how do you use apostrophes correctly. So the first rule that you need to think about is when you're using personal pronouns, don't use an apostrophe. So your possessive pronouns, a quick reminder there: my, mine, your, yours, his, her, its. His, her, and then hers, and then we don't have another word for its. That's just one word on its own. We use that all the time. Its eyes, its fur. And finally, our, ours, your, yours, and their, theirs. So if we looked at the sentence, it picked up its claws. Oh, there's some claws there in that picture there. We're talking about some kind of bird or a bit of a monster the size of those claws. If we wrote it, apostrophe s, it's his claw, we're actually saying it is his claw, and that's not what we're doing today. We're looking at personal pronouns, and we're looking at how we use pronouns in the sentence, and we're looking at the pronoun its. So remember, if you put an apostrophe, you've used a contraction. This is a word that we use in English where it's two words contracted, two words made smaller, and we use an apostrophe to show that there's a missing letter. So when we say it picked up its claws, we're not looking for it is. We are looking for the pronoun its. So there is no apostrophe. I like hers better. If you said that, you wouldn't be using an apostrophe between the R and the S, because otherwise, looking at the contraction, you would be writing I like her is better, which just wouldn't make sense. So the final point as part of this video is to think about how do you use the apostrophe, and to learn with the pronouns no apostrophes are used in pronouns. So using I, you, she, he, it, we, they as the subject of a sentence, this video has quickly covered the use of I and looking at the possessive pronoun its, and the reminder that you use pronouns to avoid repetition in your writing. So how might that work? Let's have a look at this short piece of writing. Jane made the video yesterday. Jane looked at the time. Now more than ever, Jane needed a coffee. Jane sent her students a reminder of the work to do, and Jane rushed into the kitchen to make that much needed coffee. Yes, that sounds a bit like my day. So if we looked at the writing and the sentences, we would be thinking about, oh, I've used that word Jane far too many times, and that's repetition. So to avoid that repetition, that's why we use pronouns in our writing, so that we can allow our writing to flow and for the reading to sound a lot better, but we're still using the correct word to talk about Jane. So let's see if we could make one or two changes here. Yes, I think we could take out that second Jane and put in the pronoun she. Anything else? Yes, I don't want to put she straight away in the next sentence, because then I'm going back to repeating the pronoun too many times. So I'm going to change that word Jane there to she. And then finally, I think if I put too many pronouns, I'm going to end up with the same problem. Instead of having the name Jane repeated too many times, I'm going to have the pronoun repeated too many times. So I'm going to look for, where could I take a word out, where could I omit a word, and the sentences would still make sense. Ah yes, if I take that name out, let's have a look if my sentences still work. Jane made the video yesterday. She looked at the time. Now, more than ever, Jane needed a coffee. She sent her students a reminder of the work to do and rushed into the kitchen to make that much needed coffee. Yes, I think we have achieved a flow and a fluency there in our writing, and all I did there was move 3 words, take one out completely and change 2 to the pronouns. So think about how you do that in your own writing. And just a quick review, make sure you know what the pronoun is. It's a word that replaces the noun, but in writing it's important to think about it as a word that we use to avoid repetition. You can't use the subjective pronoun I after the verb. It can't be the object of the verb. It has to be the subject of the verb. And there's no apostrophes in possessive personal pronouns. And think about when you're writing, avoid repetition. Try and make your writing flow. Think about the use of all the different words that you have that you could move about in your sentence so that you create a much better sentence than your first thought. And that's the end of the video today. So I'll see you in a later video when we look at other points of grammar. Bye.